The international break is over, the transfer window shut. Finally, thankfully, it's all about the football. Something Stoke won't mind at all. Well, it's been a cracking day of football. As you can see, the teams are out there warming up for the final game of the day. And after the football we've seen today, it's got quite a lot to live up to. Stoke against Manchester United kicks off right here at 5:30. It's lovely to have you along with us. And Rio was surprised when I told him that Manchester United hadn't won a league game here in the last 4 years. But both my guests today featured that day. Rio at the back for Manchester United. Michael on the bench for Stoke. Right, the results are in. It's been a really, really busy day in the Premier League today. 20 goals in 6 games. The big teams have won today. So despite their great start to the season, the pressure is already on Manchester United this evening.
Liverpool got beat, Jake.
Yes, they did.
He was right.
City won, Arsenal won, Spurs won. United have now got to come and deliver. They've dropped to second in the table.
Yeah, and there are... Listen, Manchester United have started this season like a house on fire, scoring goals, not conceding goals, and they've got to continue that. What they're building at the moment is confidence. They're building an aura around this team. If they continue to win the way they are, they can continue that and build on that. But the acid test will come when they play a top 4 team, the teams you just mentioned beforehand. But when they play one of them teams, that'll be the defining factor at the beginning of this season if they can continue this form.
OK, if we take a look at the bottom half, you can see Brighton, with their win today, they move up to 13th. Poor old Bournemouth, no points from their first 4 games. Look, Rio says it's an acid test. It will be an acid test when they play a big team, but isn't a team that you've been playing for the last 4 years and not beaten in the league a proper test for Manchester United?
This is a huge test. This stadium, this team we were talking earlier, it's always been difficult to come to this stage. They've always had a solid home record, and you normally fancy your chances at your own place against Stoke. But definitely over the last few years, Stoke have evolved a little bit from the direct play. You used to hate coming here, long grass, small pitch. They used to tighten in the
Roy de Lamp throws,
the long throw in, and every player seemed to be 6'5". Mark Hughes has taken them away from that. It's a different team now, a different style of play. And in many ways, when you look at the results, I mean, Stoke didn't get in the top 10 in 5 seasons under Pulis. They have in 3 out the last 4 under Mark Hughes. Yeah, the perception in my mind, and I think everyone else's, is that Stoke can be doing better, and there's a bit of frustration around the place.
I think the PR in the place was different then as well. Pulis is a great PR man, and they had a knack of beating the big teams here at that point, and that was the press, and that was the perception then, was like they're a bigger team. They beat the big teams here at home especially, whereas Mark Hughes, a bit more of an unassuming character, gets about his work in a different way, and maybe the fans aren't as appreciative, maybe, of the Stoke City fans aren't as appreciative of what the job he's doing here. OK, well, they appreciated it 3 weeks ago. We were here, of course, when Stoke beat Arsenal. Okay. Well, as much as Jose would like him to, Mark Hughes isn't going to embellish on his comments this week that United are a little loose positionally. Thankfully, though, you two are. What do you think he meant by that? He would have watched the games. There's been great press about Manchester United going forward, but they have given up some opportunities, and I watched them closely against Leicester the last time out. And there are pockets of space, especially in behind the midfield. I think you see here, players get drawn to the ball, 3 to 4 Man United players get drawn to the ball, and that space there, crossing the ball, if Stoke have players coming onto the ball there or into the area that it goes in the 6-yard box, they'll enjoy that. Yeah,
and I'm particularly keen. Look at Pogba's movement here. I mean, and the full-backs are high. I don't think as a central midfield player you can just make that run when you've not got, total control of the ball. And all of a sudden he just vacates a really important area. Yeah. If that ball was played 1 touch less, I think it could have been a better chance for Leicester. But you can't vacate that area, and Rio mentioned that sort of space in behind the midfield, and Stoke can punish them if they leave that space.
Exactly, that's a space that I'm sure that Mark Hughes will be identifying, and this is what they're good at. They carry the ball well, they've got good runners, pace, and they've got that little bit of finesse. This is a great ball from Berahino and a fantastic finish from Hesse. So that's the danger that Manchester United are going to have to face today, and they have to nullify that.
And Rio's mentioned there's been some question marks since Mark Hughes took over at Stoke, but if there's one thing he will do, it's diligently watch those previous games, and he will have his guys so well drilled for this match, just as they were against Arsenal 3 weeks ago here.
Yeah, and I think the way they played against Arsenal will probably be exactly the way they play again. They pretty much played counter-attacking football and broke into those areas that we were talking about. One thing is, Matic is playing today. He's more experienced. He's just going to, he doesn't go tearing around the pitch. He'll stay in that position and make sure that they can't really break on them.
All right, thank you, boys. After the break, you can see what... 15 minutes from kick-off, so those fans should still make it in just about in time. Team news for you for Stoke. Kevin Wimmer, after his £18 million move from Spurs in the transfer window, makes his debut. Meanwhile, for United, Darmian and Herrera make their first Premier League starts of the new season. Of course, Romelu Lukaku starts up front for the visitors, and back into the starting lineup is Marcus Rashford. This week, they both chatted to Des.
You need to put mic on. Tell him.
Well, since you guys are getting on so well, Marcus, tell us what Romelu's best qualities are.
His mindset, I'd say. We can have a laugh and that, but then when it goes to the game, he can switch it.
What's the best thing about Marcus?
Hungry, and he's not scared, he's not afraid.
Who's faster?
I don't know, you know.
I think I'm the fastest. Yeah.
I think he's
You've
tested this?
Yeah, it's proven.
Who's the best finisher?
Rom.
No
Ruthless.
argument.
Ruthless.
I don't play.
Just me.
Every day we do a finishing drill where every time we don't hit the target, we do press-ups. Only the two of us, because people want to join in, but then we have to wait too long before we get a shot. So I just take him and we go to the other side of the pitch and we do a finishing drill, and we try to test each other to get the best out of each other.
Andrew Cole made a comparison on Twitter between you two and his partnership with Dwight York. Can you see the comparison?
Yeah, because obviously the numbers, that was just a coincidence. But I think the way we play as well, naturally when I get the ball, I'm looking for him. And when he gets the ball, he's looking for me, so.
Every time when I make a movement to the side, he already sees where I'm going, so he uses my space to go. And
it's the same with what them two are, though. They just made it easy for each other.
Romelu, you had options to go other places, I'm sure. What brought you here? What was the deciding factor?
Well, I wanted to play for the manager since I was 11. What happened at Chelsea, I wanted to prove him a point. He said that he wanted to give me another chance, and I'm very grateful to have a chance to play for the biggest club in the world.
The manager said that if he bought you at the end of the transfer window, you'd be worth £150 million. Are you worth £150 million?
No comment. No comment.
None?
No comment.
If Romelu's £150 million, Marcus, how much are you? What do you think?
I'm free. I'm free.
But we don't need to know how much he's worth. He's going to stay for a long time.
I'm here, man.
We're here. The contract is here. It's staying.
Priceless.
Yeah.
Have you got targets this season, gentlemen?
Everybody's like talking about, oh yeah, Man United 10 goals scored, 0 conceded. Favourites, everybody scores, but keep the ball feet at the ground. It's just the start of the season. Let us work. I will talk at the end.
They get on well, don't they? No surprise United fans are getting excited about the partnership, but you should have seen the steam coming out of Michael Owen's ears when Rashford said that he thought Romelu was the best finisher. As a striker, you just can't believe he thought that, can you?
No, even if you're not the best finisher, then I thought he was very modest in most of his questions. He's faster than me, he's a better finisher, he's better than... And I thought he either believes that, and that might stop him getting to the very top, or he's just being nice in front of the cameras.
Because you've got to be ruthless as a striker.
Oh, you've got to be ruthless. You've got to think you're the best at everything. This partnership might work because there's one that's pretty unselfish and there's one that's steely-eyed. You could see Lukaku. He didn't say Rashford's better than him at anything.
Yeah. But I think that helps relationships. You look at Shearer and Sheringham. You look at you and Heskey. You look at Dwight York and Cole. Yeah. There's a difference. If you've got both the same and both trying to get to the same target and really, really single-minded in that, you've got to have one that's a little bit more loose and will maybe give up.
What do you like about him specifically?
I think he's, what I do like, he's got a mixture to his game. Everyone thinks he's a runner, but he's not. Watch him here, he passes, and then he actually sees an opportunity. And then the picture changes, and look at that deviation in his run. So, I mean, he can link the play. This is his one and only goal this season, but the ball comes to him quite quick over the head of his teammate. And then obviously we all know that he's very quick. I actually think he's quicker than Lukaku, but I was surprised to hear what they said there.
That bit there is what gives defenders sleepless nights. Really? That running in behind, that willingness to run in behind. I'd rather play against a striker who goes short all the time, because I always think the goal's there. He's not running there. If he's coming in front of me and I can see him all the time, I'm comfortable. The minute he runs behind, I'm actually starting to sweat.
But the massive bit of credit I could give him is that he is an all-round striker already. He can come off short, he can link play, he's got a great touch, great skill, and he can run in behind. When I came onto the scene, I was a runner in behind, and then I learned how to hold the ball.
But you talk about you
now.
coming onto the scene at this same stage, at the same age as Rashford is now. You'd have had 2 golden boots